Hello, thank you for joining us. We're thrilled that you're interested in becoming a trained volunteer for Project Wingspan, and we hope that you enjoy this webinar series. My name is Amber Barnes, and I am the Wildlife Conservation Ecologist with the Pollinator Partnership and the Native Plant Materials Coordinator for Project Wingspan. In this presentation, I'm going to talk to you about the Project Wingspan initiative and provide you with background information to give you a better understanding of what this innovative conservation project is all about. In our next video in the series, we'll give you an overview of our protocol and teach you how to properly collect seed from the landscape. This webinar series is geared towards seed collection volunteers and will provide guidance on collecting seed for Project Wingspan, and will review information, protocols, and plant ID related to the project in order to standardize the seed collection process to ensure responsible collection and data integrity. We'll also be joined by Elizabeth Kaufman in a separate video where she'll introduce you to our 29 target plant species and give tips for how to identify them. Elizabeth is Pollinator Partnership's plant ecologist who is also serving as the Illinois State Coordinator and Monarch and Pollinator Habitat Coordinator for Project Wingspan. I would also like to give a mighty thanks to Denise Ellsworth, the Program Director for Pollinator Education with the Ohio State University Extension, for helping with the recording of this webinar. So first, I'd just like to briefly share a little bit about Pollinator Partnership's background. We're a science-based nonprofit conservation organization, and over the last 21 years, we've worked in collaboration with multiple stakeholders on a variety of programs to support the health of pollinators and their habitats. And so through many collaborative efforts, we've helped create and enhance tens of thousands of acres of habitat throughout the United States, Canada, and beyond. We also believe in the big tent philosophy, and we will collaborate with scientists, researchers, conservationists, government officials, dedicated volunteers, and others to keep pushing progress forward on pollinator issues. And together, we find real solutions to many of today's complex conservation challenges. And whether it's trainings like the one you're participating in today, a school garden kit that's been ordered, an outreach event staffed by P2 staff or volunteers, or interpretive signage near habitat, educating about pollinators is and what people can do about them is one of our top priorities. And P2 conducts true science and believes in making sure that actions are backed by science. So our in-house researchers and staff work to provide credible, authentic, and useful guides and information. And finally, P2 works with policymakers on both sides of the aisle on sensible public policy. And we advocate for funding to support pollinator protection. So, why so much focus on pollinators? And really, it's because it's clear from the research that pollinators are in decline. There's evidence for decline in honeybees, bumblebees, birds, butterflies, and simply insects in general. In fact, declines of some bee species have been so pronounced that the United States has had to list them as endangered under the Endangered Species Act for the first time in 2016 and 2017, and that includes the rusty patch bumblebee. And this project focuses mainly on addressing the needs of the monarch butterfly and the rusty patch bumblebee. As you may know, the iconic monarch butterfly and its spectacular migration are in jeopardy. The North American numbers have suffered steep decline of approximately 90% over the last 2 decades. And in 2014, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was petitioned to protect the monarch butterfly under the Endangered Species Act. And a listing decision is expected for December 2020 on that. And much like the monarch, the rusty patch bumblebee was a common species 20 years ago with a range across 28 states and 2 Canadian provinces, which can be seen in the gray displayed on the map. Rusty patch bumblebees, Bombus affinis populations have also seen a swift decline since the 1990s, which earned it placement on the endangered species list in 2017, with a distinction of becoming the first bee in the contiguous 48 states to be declared endangered. And the species now has only been observed as a few small patches of populations across what is estimated to be only 0.1% of its historical range. And it's become clear that in order to help improve our landscape for pollinators that support our healthy ecosystems and food security, really everyone and every landscape is needed. And to address this need for quality habitat and restored connectivity to the landscape, Pollinator Partnership has been working on numerous large and small scale efforts across North America. And that's why you're watching this today, to learn lifelong skills that will help you impact your local community and participate in this unique and innovative project that will help enhance tens of thousands of acres of habitat across the project region. Volunteers like you make impactful programs like these possible, and for that, we really cannot thank you enough for your contribution. So the main goal of this project is to increase monarch, rusty-patched bumblebee, and other imperiled pollinator habitat throughout the landscape. And we're accomplishing this through a few different avenues. Engaging with public land managers and private land stewards, educating on ways to enhance land for monarchs and the rusty-patched bumblebee, establishing and training seed collection teams, and enhancing at least 10,000 acres of pollinator habitat. So how did we get here? Well, Pollinator Partnership started a program in 2015 called Monarch Wings Across Ohio, which worked with a variety of partners across multiple land use types to create and research monarch habitat throughout Northeast Ohio. The success of that project led Pollinator Partnership, or P2 as we call ourselves, to see if we could work with other groups to create monarch habitat on a larger scale. A grant request was sent to NIFWF, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and we received funding for a large-scale eco-regional approach to creating monarch habitat involving partners throughout 5 states. And that became known as Monarch Wings Across the Eastern Broadleaf Forest. So Monarch Wings Across the Eastern Broadleaf Forest, or Monarch Wings as I'll call it, kicked off in fall of 2016. And really we had, the overarching goal was to increase monarch habitat within the Eastern Broadleaf Forest Continental Province, focusing on the states of Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. And there are 2 main sides of this program. One side is training and developing a seed collection network to generate regionally appropriate native plant materials for the project. And the other side is identifying, securing, and enhancing acres of monarch habitat throughout the region through training and resource distribution. And we're really grateful for the support and partnership of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Partners for Fish and Wildlife, multiple state departments of natural resources, including the Illinois Mason State Nursery, and the partners of through refuges and wildlife areas, and our volunteers, and really all of our core and satellite partners that help make this effort such a success. So with the help of this multitude of project partners and really an amazing and dedicated team of volunteers, Pollinator Partnership was able to meet or exceed nearly all of our goals. And so I'll give a quick snapshot of what we were able to accomplish over that 2.5-year grant period. So P2, our state leads, and other core partners developed a robust seed collection protocol to help volunteers learn how to identify and collect seed from our target list of native wildflowers. And we held trainings across the project states and created an online platform to reach those who couldn't attend an in-person workshop. And as a result, over 2 years, our amazing 327 volunteers completed 368 seed collections, which ended up being about 100 pounds of clean seed. And that resulted in 11,482 seedlings that were able to be grown out. And the seed and plugs generated from those volunteer seed collection efforts had an estimated value of nearly $60,000. And P2 also worked with project partners throughout the 5-state focus area to identify, secure, and enhance over 27,000 acres of monarch habitat throughout the region. We far exceeded our goal of 4,688 due to the amazing interest that was out there. And we provided on-site consultations and held 5 land manager trainings throughout the project states. Our 7-part webinar series is now available online for anyone seeking to learn how they can manage their landscape, small or large, for monarchs and other pollinators. And all of this work resulted in tangible, on-the-ground results to improve the quality and connectivity of the landscape for monarchs. And that almost $60,000 worth of plants and seed were sent free of charge to enhance 44 high-quality monarch habitat projects. And in addition, we were able to get funding to 21 other projects to enhance their habitat through seed, plugs, and invasive species control. And really, I'm telling you all of this to show you, what we can really accomplish through Project Wingspan. With monarch wings across the eastern broadleaf forest wrapped up and all of these incredible achievements under our belt, we applied to National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for another 2-year grant, which we titled Project Wingspan. And with this project, we're building upon those foundations laid by our previous efforts and expanding our reach to new project states, including Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and including the rusty patch bumblebee as a target species in addition to the monarch. So now I'm going to tell you a bit about our goals for Wingspan and how we plan to achieve those. Being a 6-state project, we definitely have a lot of partners. And here's a representation of our core group, but there's certainly many other partners who have and will continue to contribute to the success of this program. So there are several goals to this project, and the first I'll talk about today is establishing a regional seed collecting program. We're working with existing collection programs to create a temporary, coordinated regional seed collection and distribution network. And the skills that our volunteers learn can then be applied to other local efforts and support local conservation capacity in future work. And the reason that this is really important is because regionally specific milkweed and other forage plant seed is typically commercially unavailable in large quantities within much of the country and can be prohibitively expensive for some projects, even when it is available. And so our dedicated volunteers are collecting regionally adapted seed from the landscape, which will then be used for enhancing pollinator habitat throughout the Midwest and Great Lakes region. Our seed collection activities will be focused in 6 states: Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And seed collection and distribution zones within each state have been identified and established using a mixture of ecoregional and provisional seed zone boundaries. All native plant materials generated from the seed collecting efforts will be redistributed within the same state collection zone in order to maintain genetic variability and resilience across milkweed and forage plant populations and assist with the goal of enhancing 10,000 acres across the Midwest and Great Lakes region. Our second goal is to provide technical assistance and training for seed collection and planting. And that's really why you're watching this today. And in order to ensure well-planned, responsible collections are being carried out, we have developed standardized seed collection protocols that will be carried out throughout the region. We're making sure to train our volunteers in plant identification and proper collection methods. We want our volunteers to be confident in their abilities and to have all the resources needed to make successful, responsibly conducted seed collections. And P2 has created plant profiles for each of the 29 target species we're focusing on. And these profiles cover identification characteristics, potential confusing species, and have several photos for guidance. And these are available online for you to download, and team leads will each be given a laminated copy for use in the field. We will also be promoting and disseminating our 7-part webinar series to empower more land stewards with the knowledge of how they can prep, create, and maintain their own habitat for our imperiled pollinators. And these can be found at the link on the screen, pollinator.org/MWAEBF/webinars. And our third goal is to secure 10,000 acres of long-term habitat through partnership with public and private landowners. We're working with landowners and managers who are committed to monarch, rusty patch bumblebee, and other imperiled pollinator conservation and long-term management and habitat and maintenance of that habitat. And in order to identify high-quality pollinator habitat across the target region, we created this online application for landowners to join the Project Wingspan effort. Their responses will help to create a comprehensive survey of all of the pollinator habitat acreages in the region. In return, applicants will be entered for a chance to receive a free on-site visit by the P2 Monarch and Pollinator Habitat Coordinator, who will be traveling throughout our target states to conduct pollinator habitat site evaluations and offer monarch, rusty patch, and other imperiled pollinator habitat development guidance. Our habitat coordinator is coordinating with our core partners, satellite partners, and survey respondents to then identify and secure 10,000 acres of high-quality pollinator habitat that can be preserved and enhanced with our collected seed and grown out plugs. And this survey will be closing July 31st, 2019. Any questions regarding the survey and how to get your acreage counted should be directed to Elizabeth Kaufman, whose contact information you can see on the screen. So what are our collection goals? We aim to collect at least 1,000 seed collections across our six-state region, which ends up being about 167 collections per state over 2 years. And these are of native milkweeds and other native target forage species. And again, these are common species that are native throughout our region that are useful as either monarch larval host plants, such as milkweeds, or high-quality pollen and nectar resources for the rusty patch bumblebee, monarchs, and our other imperiled species. And these are the 29 target species native throughout the Midwest and Great Lakes region that we'll be focusing on, with a bloom chart to illustrate that we chose species that will be blooming and providing pollen and nectar resources throughout the growing season to not only fuel the monarchs' migration, but also to sustain resident imperiled pollinators, while also providing much needed host plants for monarchs and other species of Lepidoptera. So how did we come up with this list? Well, we used the USDA Plants and Biota of North America program websites to ensure wide distribution range throughout our 6-state region. We chose spring, summer, and fall blooming species to make sure that we're supporting each part of the monarch migration, as well as ensuring these local residents, such as the rusty patch, have something to forage all growing season. We also cross-referenced these with regional weedy and invasive lists. We carried out numerous rounds of vetting with partners and botanical experts throughout our target state region. And we considered the habitat needs of both the monarch, rusty patch bumblebee, and other imperiled pollinators what they need at different times of the year and their various stages of development. So what's the process? Here's a flow chart to give an overview of what will happen with the seed collections. First, our collection teams will go out and collect the seed. Those seeds will then be sent to Mason State Nursery for cleaning, testing, and temporary storage. And once we're ready for the plantings, some of those seeds will be grown out into plugs, while others will be distributed back onto the landscape as seeds. And our Monarch and Pollinator Habitat Coordinator will evaluate our plant materials and oversee their distribution back onto the landscape with the help of our many planting partners. So if you're interested in participating as a certified seed collection volunteer, but haven't been able to attend one of our in-person trainings throughout the region, no worries. You can visit our training webpage on the screen here, and we've set up a simple 6-step online training process to prepare you for collections in the field. So step 2 is to watch our training webinars. So if you're watching this and our 29 target plant introduction series today, you can count that as a completion of step 2. And if you're interested in contributing to this conservation project, it's really vital that you complete the other steps of the training, including emailing me, Amber Barnes, your completed volunteer waiver, and filling out our contact form. We won't know that you've completed the training if you don't fill out the contact form on our webpage. And with that information, we can send you your official Project Wingspan digital training certificate and get you in touch with the nearest collection team in your area. And through this project, we've created several materials to ensure that our collection volunteers are well prepared and conducting high quality, responsible seed collections. And all of these materials pictured here and more are housed on our website and available for free download. Our seed collection manual covers every aspect of conducting a seed collection event, from scouting to shipping the seed. And this one guide is informative for all levels of participation, including team leads, data collectors, and volunteer collectors. So while our team leads are well-versed in plant identification, it always helps to have a guide on hand. So to accommodate this need, P2 has created those plant profiles for each of our 29 target species we're focusing on for Project Wingspan. And while they're not a substitute for a detailed field guide, these profiles cover identification characteristics, those potential confusing species, as well as several photos for guidance. And we highly encourage all volunteers to download and review these profiles before heading out into the field. And we've also posted our in-person training PowerPoint slides and the 29 target species bloom chart as well. And really, all of this is to create a rapid increase of much needed monarch habitat. We're so happy that you chose to join us today, and look forward to working with you to help the monarch, the rusty patch, and our other imperiled pollinators through this large-scale effort driven by local conservation.